Bienvenidos, Fright fans. Welcome back to the horror show here at the Phoenix Film Festival, International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival portion 2018. And I have a interesting film to talk about because it was my second time seeing this particular actress here at the festival in a film. Her name is Scout Taylor Compton, and after we saw her in a really bad film called Cynthia that you'll see me and Cecil's review of, I kept trying to put my finger on who the hell is this girl? Why do I recognize her? And then it dawned on me when I looked on her IMDb. She played Laurie Strode in the two Rob Zombie remakes, and then it all clicked why I'm not so fond of this actress, but I must say, I enjoyed her in this role for this film much better than in Cynthia. This is a movie called Feral. And so Feral is kind of a simple premise. It's about a bunch of medical students, 6 of them. They go out camping in the woods. Yeah, you've never heard of that before. And they have some sort of horrible situation befall them in a rabid animal attacking one of them, tearing the kid to pieces, and then somebody else gets infected and things are just kind of passed along. But, you know, this film ended up being a little bit better than I was anticipating based on the strength of a few performances. Our buddy Lou Temple, who Marsha Parker interviewed here on the channel, who was on The Walking Dead and has some Rob Zombie connections in his own right, he was in this film as somebody who lives in these woods and kind of assists them with explaining the nature of this virus, this disease that is being passed along that they don't really know the origin of. So if I'm going to give overall impressions, this was a movie that, while I didn't love, it wasn't bad, you know, and it had some genuine emotion to it, especially with the fact that you did grow to care a little bit about these characters, at least initially on. They didn't just, they start out with some carnage, but then they gave a decent amount of just backstory about the camaraderie of these people and, you know, some of just the prior associations, you know, kind of love triangle aspect. Scout Taylor Compton's character is now gay and is, you know, the spurned ex-boyfriend is there too. So there's some tropey dynamics, but they were actually executed pretty well. So yeah, overall impression, the gore when we got it was pretty good. Performances were not bad, and I had enough fun with this movie to not say that I wouldn't recommend watching it. So story, once it really gets roaring, is them trying to figure out how fast this disease spreads, you know, how it's passed along, if, you know, it can be just a scratch or if it's like, you know, full on, you know, just like biting the hell and killing somebody and then they're resurrected. They don't really completely, you know, explain if it's just, you know, full on like cabin fever type thing or if it's, you know, like zombie stuff or whatever. So it's one of those gray area, you know, kind of approaches where they don't explain if it's full on zombies or just, you know, plague, whatever thing like some people say happens in 28 Days Later and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, beyond that, there's not much that I can say beyond the fact that they meet up with Lou Temple's character. They're back at a cabin. Of course, they always end up back at a cabin in most of these films, and then they have to try to, you know, see who's going to turn next, and there's others in the woods that are attacking the cabin, trying to chew them up, you know, feral style. They go rabid once the disease fully takes them over. And so, yeah, if we're going to talk acting, once again, I liked Scout Taylor Compton's performance in this. It wasn't bad. It actually had some genuine heart to it, and it wasn't supremely over the top like we saw with her performance of Laurie Strode, and it wasn't overly goof-tastic, unlikably silly like in Cynthia. And that's not me just trying to tear this actress apart. That's me just saying that she really instilled a little bit more faith in her range for me in her performance in this. And Lou Temple is pretty damn good in this too, you know. You're kind of wondering where his allegiances lie, if he really cares about these kids or if he's just trying to use them to a means of figuring some things out, because he does have kind of a connection with the origination of this little epidemic that's starting and stuff. Everybody else is unfortunately pretty throwaway and just kind of cannon fodder in some ways. So yeah, that's our actors in this. You know, the practical, once we do start to get to it, it takes a little while, but it's gruesome and it is well done. Some of the gore scenes, the kills are a little bit more by the books, which, you know, you can't fault it in this, where they did in a lot of ways continue to inject the dramatic aspects, you know, through and through, especially Scout Taylor Compton's character's just relationship with her girlfriend in this. That was one of the most heartwarming and genuine things that we constantly kept coming back to in this film. And it was a thread that I thought thought went well, and also the practical look of the creatures once they're finally turning and stuff. It wasn't too over the top, you know. It was kind of that, you know, this porridge is just right type approach. Cinematography, we've got beautiful shots of the woods, and you know that's kind of tough to mess up. The camera didn't get too, you know, shaky or whatever. There was some nice, you know, just gradually, you know, building slow moving shots that added that ominous essence, and shots of the basement were actually well lit and looked pretty cool too. So despite something that could have been much worse than it actually ended up being, this was another one where I didn't go in really. I don't even know if we'd watched the trailer for this, you know, in all honesty. So this was one where I was kind of going in blind beyond the concept in and of itself. It had more heart to it than I thought it was going to, if I'm going to go bottom line. You know, the score wasn't really much that was going to stick out to me either. But, you know, the crunch of bone and, you know, splatter of blood and whatnot, the sound work was actually, especially sound effects-wise, was very solid and on point, and added to that dread and that nastiness of this, you know, just the proper creaking of a board when you're walking through an old, like, cellar type area and stuff like that. So as a whole, I would actually say that this movie was a success, and if the premise intrigues you enough, I would definitely say go check it out, Horror Show peeps. So I can extend a grande gracias to Jason and Monty once again from the festival here. We are so stoked that we are here to be able to cover this event for the third year in a row, and that's due to Allied and Patrick, so thanks to him as well. I've been Jaime and Fuego, and until we get to some more coverage here at the International Horror Sci-Fi Film Festival 2018, remember, stay scared.